So it's finally time for real foliage creation, and these are the ones that we're going to import into Unreal. And we're going to create them as low poly as possible so that we can use a lot more performance for other places. But of course these are important, but we're going to try to make them as much as low poly as possible. So I'm going to drag these out so that I can see better, and I'm going to start with the grass. So let me put the pivot in here and bring this to the top, and I'm comparing this against the size of this mannequin. So the first thing that I'm going to do is extracting single meshes from these. As you know, this is a single plane, really a single flat plane with some alpha cutout and things like that. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and I start to drag lines in here so that I can later on extract meshes from there. So I'm only, because these are so a straight piece of geometry, I'm only going to drag some lines in the edit mode and try to separate them and later on extract the mesh. So I'm going to bring lines in between so that I'm placing them in a way that I can, for example, take this one and drag it as a mesh, and have something in mind that the more alpha you reveal from your mesh, the more performance heavy it's going to be for Unreal Engine. For example, if you try to import this into Unreal, there are going to be a lot of planes one after another to create a foliage, and something like this, for example, would create a foliage. And if you look at this, this is a single plane, nothing more. A really single plane with some alpha, and this alpha is, this effect is called overdraw. We really do not want a lot of alpha to be revealed. We want to hide as many alpha as possible. So for example, when trying to cut out our mesh, I'm going to cut out this part because I really do not want this part to be seen so much. We're going to cut these as much as possible so that not a lot of alpha is visible in our mesh. And this is called the alpha overdraw, and Unreal Engine really hates this effect. So have that in mind. Okay, and that's why I'm going to cut out this part and delete it, because I really do not want to see a lot of alpha in these planes. So take this one and delete this one as well. And now only thing that I'm going to do is dragging line and encompass a piece of mesh with two lines, and now I really can select this one and delete it. Okay, and later on when we're finished, I can hit P and separate by loose parts. So let's do the cutout again. Okay, something like this, and try to manipulate your geometry as much as possible. And if I try to drag this one, it's going to also distort the UV. But if you want to preserve UV when moving this line, you have to use the slide tool so that you only manipulate the line and not the UVs. And that is an important thing to keep in mind as well. So let's see, what is this one doing? Perfect. And I'm going to polygon mode and delete this one as well. So this one is all right. I'm trying to put a piece in between two lines so that later on I can really cut out the piece. And I'm not going to make these ones so high poly, because these are individual pieces, and when we try to kit bash them, there are going to be a lot of polygons. And you saw how manipulating a lot of polygons was painful in Blender. And of course Blender has really became a lot better in terms of handling so much polygons, but still it has its own disadvantages. It's going to be a lot better, but for now we have to keep that in mind as well. So the last ones, and I started with the grass because these are the simplest ones, and we can explore the concepts and really see where we can go with these grasses. and the concepts that we use for the grasses also are applicable to any kind of foliage that you want to create for a game. Okay, and now you have this part which we need to delete. Okay, and now we have individual pieces, and I should subdivide these a bit so that later on when we try to bend these we'll have really no problem. So let's take all of them and right click and subdivide. It's going to subdivide them a bit, and now take them again and subdivide again, and now let's look at them in terms of polygons. Okay, this is good. This is really what I'm going for. So on this part I really do not want this because it's overkill. Let me take this and these ones, delete them, and now I'm going to extract single meshes from these. Let me go into edit mode, hit P, and by loose parts. Now we have individual geometry, but the problem is now with the pivot of these. All of the pivot has been centered, and we're going to correct the pivot as well. So first let me try to manipulate each one so that we can hide as much from alpha as we can. So let's take all of these, and I can really use the knife tool and drag until here and confirm it. Okay, and simply go to polygon mode and delete this. Okay, and select this one and put the pivot on here. Okay, and now let's manipulate the geometry to hide from the alpha. And as you know, if I try to drag this one, it's going to hurt the UV and distort the UV. I do not want that, so let's take it and use the slide tool so that it doesn't affect the UV so much. So we want to hide as much from the parts, from the alpha parts as possible. So this one is alright, and let me take this one and drag it up, and the more you hide from the alpha, the more optimized your mesh is going to be. Just use the slide tool so that it doesn't affect the UVs at all. Okay, on this one as well, we're getting perfect. Okay, and this part needs a lot of manipulation. I'm going to the knife tool and hit confirm and delete this part. Okay, and now let's bring up the statistics to see. This one has 35 triangles, and it's fine. We can do with that. So let's take this and slide it to here, or let me watch it. I can really take this one, take this polygon and cut away from here all the way to here on this point, and take this one and delete it. Okay, of course you can really take it easy and not be so obsessed with it, but for the sake of optimization, I'm really going so radical on this because I want the most optimization out of this. And I'm going to select from here and cut a piece all the way to this part. Okay, and now let's go to polygon mode and try to delete it. And we have some edges here which we need to fix. Let's take this and delete, delete, and delete. So now let's look at the geometry itself without alpha, and this is basically what I'm looking for. I really want the mesh to hide a lot of the alpha. So let's take this and this one and merge them. So let's go to material mode, and I can take this and bring it here. Okay, and I can bring it up as well. Okay, This is good. And now let's go for other ones as well. So it might take you a couple of minutes, but it's really worth it. The amount of optimization that you can do right away here. So I'm going to use the knife tool so that we know that there are more ways to manipulate this as well. So let's take these and delete them. And this one, I can really slide it in. Okay. And this one also, I can slide it in as well. Just use the slide tool so that it preserves the UV. Okay. Take this one and slide it. And in here also, instead of using a sliding, because this is too much, I'm going to cut right away until here. Okay. And now I can simply take these and delete it. And this part isn't really a part of the geometry, so I'm going to delete it and merge these two together. And in here I'm going to use a knife tool to cut from the mesh. And it might really look a bit less interesting than the mesh creation itself, but believe me, this is going to be necessary really. If you try to be optimized in the first place, later on it will save you a lot of trouble. So I'm going to select this and put the pivot down here. So let's slide it up and put the pivot here. So this one and this one, there are some more remaining as well. So again, I'm going to here and bring the cut mode and try to cut from this part. Okay, now I'm going to take this, slide it, okay, just a bit more remaining on this. And Unreal Engine really hates when you reveal a lot of the alpha. You should try to cover as much from the alpha as possible. So let's take this one and merge this. Okay, this one is good, and take this one and merge this. And this one I can also merge to here. And I can cut away a line from here and also slide this one in and finally merge this to this. Okay, and this one to this. Okay, this is good for that. And now let's insert the pivot to be right here. Let's take all of them and merge by distance. Okay, this one is done as well. So bear with me to complete this one as well. Let's bring the knife tool and try to cut right away and delete these polygons and put the pivot right away in here and try to slide this in. Okay, I can really bring extra polygon in here and slide this as well. And later on we're going to use all sorts of techniques to create the grasses themselves. We're going to use a lot of randomization, a lot of modifiers to create the grasses. And as I told you, the techniques that we use here are really applicable to any kind of foliage that you want to create. So this one is alright as well. Now the pivots are working, and this time we're going for this, which I believe needs a bit more manipulation. Let's cut away from here instead, and we really do not need all of these parts. Okay, and a slide in, and I can take this and merge this. Okay, and this is going to save you a lot of FPS later on inside Unreal. Believe me, it might look a bit daunting, but it's really a part of the process. Hiding so much alpha would cause you to save a lot of frames per second. So a bit of merging, and now I'm going to cut from here to here, then cut right away to here and to here. Okay, and I'm going to delete these parts as well, and this one I can take this and slide it down, and let's select them all and merge one vertices as well. So let me take this and select all, merge by distance. Okay, all of the vertices are there. So a bit of more manipulation to do. Okay, this one, we can simply slide it to here, and you can really totally skip this part, but I really encourage you to do the technique because it's going to save you a lot of trouble down the way. So let's take these and delete them, and this is a big hole which we need to cover. So let's take this, bring it here, slide it in, and try to cut away from here, and go all the way to this part. Okay, and I can take these and delete them as well. So a bit of more alpha hiding. Let's take these and we can merge them. Okay, merge this one. Okay, this is good as well. So let me place the pivot in here, and we're halfway through, and just a bit more remaining. So let's take all of these, and I can go to edit mode and bring a cut, and cut from here and really take away from all of them. So this one doesn't need so much manipulation, just a bit. We didn't hurt it that much, so we really do not need to manipulate so much vertices. Okay, just a bit left here. I can take these merge and take these and merge these two together. Okay, and I can bring the cut mode again, cut from here all the way to here to save some time. Okay, take all of these and delete them. Okay, and be sure that when you drag this, just select all of them and merge the vertices. So I can delete these as well. Let's go to solid mode and then to here to see which parts need the most manipulations. Okay, this one, we bring it in so much. Okay, and this one done as well. And later on we decide for the pivot to be placed, and we'll decide them individually. And this fourth line that we added is really powerful for hiding alphas. It added a bit of geometry, but it's really worth it. And geometry could really be hidden using a lot of techniques, but this alpha is going to be a pain if you bring so much alpha into Unreal Engine. So again, let's merge all of them, or merge them manually. Okay, and this one remaining. Go to solid mode. Okay, this is what we want. And I slide this one up, and I slide this one as well. Just a bit of a sliding, and nothing more really. And this amount of vertices later on will guarantee when we added the amount of the modifiers, it will support them. And we are going to add some bend modifiers and a lot of modifiers to make sure that we get the perfect bending and things like that. Okay, let's take all of them, merge by distance, and now I can bring this one here. And I can take these two as well and bring them in. This one. Okay, and from time to time go to solid view and look at the wireframe to see what is going on there. So it's worth to add a bit of geometry in here and try to bring this in. And also, yeah, that one is alright. Okay, this one is done as well. And selecting them all by one really helped me a lot. In speeding my workflow. I can work on all of them together without any problem really. So when you drag a vertex to each other, make sure to select and merge by distance so that it merges the vertices, so that you do not have any overlapping vertices as well. So here now pick the knife tool and try to cut right away to here and go all the way to top. on this one, confirm it, and I can really delete a lot of it. Okay, now a bit of a sliding. So let's take all of them. Let me visualize the geo. Yeah, we have messed up the geometry and we do not want that. So again, let's go in here and slide this one to top, merge the vertices, and slide this one to here, merge again, bring here, merge again. So now let's look at the geo. We need to bring this to top and bring this one to top as well to make sure that the geo is fine. So let's take this, merge all of them, and I can really get away using this, no problem really. So, or I can simply delete this one, doesn't really worth the price. So let's take all of them individually and try to place the pivot in here. So this one I'm taking that and go back a level, and now we have all of them. Let's check for the pivots to make sure all of the pivots are working. I'm putting it here and all of the pivots are working fine. So let's take all of them, drag them back, and I can drag a duplicate out. And now let's take these copies and I'm going to isolate them. So try to drag some copies. Okay, now we have enough vertices to work with, and now we have these. Let's take some of them, for example these ones, and try to rotate them this way and bring them in the center. And now we need to do some work. Let's first hide the wireframe, and now let's take all of them, and you can go bring the search menu and search for random. You can bring up the randomized transformation and we can bring it up, and we can put some values to randomize them. For example, we can randomize the location in X, the location in Y, and location in Z. We really do not want to do a lot of Z because it's going to be really something like this hanging above, and it's going to move them based on their pivots. Okay, let's make it wider, and the rotation as well. Let me see if I can rotate. Yeah, the rotation is going to be good as well. It's going to add a bit of depth to that, and a bit of rotation in here, and on Z, yeah, a bit of Z. Okay, and for the scale also, let me make the scale a bit more randomized. Okay, let's take this one and let's say we're happy with this. Okay, I'm going to take all of them, select something in here and join them. And now we have created a cluster of grass, and the geometry is good here. The amount of the geometry that we are getting here, it's not too high. So I can take this, let's apply the transformation, and now in here let's see what we do. I'm going to the modifier, and from here I'm going to use the simple deform modifier, and try to use a bit of modifiers on top of that. So I'm going to modify them to the left a bit, Shift D to duplicate this on another axis, and just look at them from all sides to see if that works or not. Okay, this one is alright, and I'm going to look from all axes. So again, I'm going to bend, but now in another direction. Okay, we can call this one the first cluster of grasses. It's pointing in this direction. I'm happy with it. And you can also use other modifiers as well in this simple deform. Let me bring it, and we can use taper, for example, to make the taper effect happening. I'm going to taper it. No, let me see what the Z does. Yeah, this one could be good, but let's keep it the way it is. Okay, let's say that I'm happy with it. I'm going to take all of them and hit Control and A to apply the modifier. So this is the first cluster of grass. Let's go to rendered mode. Nothing happening really, and this is what you're getting. So I'm going to the shading mode and right click and shade it smooth. So let's look at the wireframe in here, and it's not too dense, and I'm happy with the cluster of grass that we are getting here. And we're going to create multiple sized clusters. So let's go to material view and try to look at them from all sides. And if you want to do further manipulation, you can go in here and try to select some of the vertices, for example these ones, and using the proportional editing, try to move them, rotate them, or even you can scale them, do whatever you want to do with them. Okay, this is good for the first cluster. I'm going to take it and apply all of the transformations, and let's call it sm underscore foliage grass 01. Okay, this is the first cluster, and now let's go create another cluster as well. And this is really the way we go for foliage creation. We cut the planes, create clusters, randomize them, do modifiers to make them really look nice. So this one is, I believe, alright. So let's create another cluster. Let me take this, drag it into here, and try to duplicate from this one as well. So just mind the triangle count when you're duplicating these. I'm not really going for something above the 2K. Okay, and this one is alright. Let's do some more. Okay, and now let's take these, duplicate them, bring them here, and I'm going to randomize them. So let's go back, no, and isolate them with this so that I can compare the size against the size of the mannequin. So again, go to this one and let's try to randomize them a bit. So now on Z, I really do not want any randomization. We've gone too far. On X, yeah, something like this. I'm going to form a bigger one. So let me take some more and drag them in, because this one is really going to be a bigger one, and the polygon size isn't so huge. So let's again take all of them and hit the object transform. No, not like this. I'm going to make it something like this. Okay, and try to make the rotation as well so that it creates something like this. Okay, and now let's go into edit mode. I'm going to take some of these and I'm going to bring them down. And not so much Okay, it crashed, but I created that effect. So in here it's like this, and now let's take all of them and join them together. Just pick something in between so that you can join all of them too. So save again, and in here also I'm going to create that effect. So let's pick something from here, bring it down, something from here, bring it down, and something from the center, bring it up. Okay, from all sides it's like something like that. Okay, now we have this one. Let's apply all the transformations and apply the simple deform modifier. So let's go for bend. Just add a slight bend in here, duplicate this, bend in another direction, and look from all sides so that you can see what is going on there. So, alright, I'm happy with this. Apply all transformations and drag this one to the side, just right there. And we see this one is bigger than this one. Let's rotate it. Okay, now we have something like this. And later on inside Unreal we create some things to make sure that every time we rotate and get so far away from these, there's going to be a decrease in the polygon count. Just bear with me. When we import this into Unreal, you will find out. So let's go to solid view and select them and hit shade smooth so that the shading is gone. Okay, now I'm going to create another cluster. This one I'm going to create a vast one. So again, let me bring these ones. No, let's take a copy. And this one I'm going to create a vast one, something that encompasses a lot of space. Something like this. Go into material mode, select all of them and shade smooth. Okay. Again, bring the object transform, randomization. Let's search for random. Okay, randomization transform. And from here it looks good. From here as well. I'm not going to do a lot in Z. Just a bit of randomization there. Okay, this one is alright. Let's put this one into 1. And the good thing is that when you create this, the moment that you're happy with it, there's a random seed. And you can go there and try different options to see which one you like more. So I'm going to use something like this. Okay, I'm happy with it. Let's take all of them, something in between, and join them. Okay, and now apply all to bring the transformations to their place. And now let's add the bend modifier. Simple deform and bend. And we're not bending in this direction. We are bending. Actually, let's not bend at all. Let's make something. Just try to form the shape a bit. So I'm going to make it a bit smaller in size compared to these ones. No, let's make it the same size but a bit shorter. Okay, and now again I'm going to create that effect. Let's take these, bring them down. Again, take these, bring them down in all directions. Because this is something that I've seen happening in a lot of grasses. Okay, and this one is alright. So let's take this one, bring it here and name it. Let's copy the name from here, name this one 02 and name this one 03. Okay, now the grass creation is done. What I can do is come into here, the poly count is good. Okay, I can take these ones and alongside with this one I can take them really totally and drag them out because I really do not need these for now. Okay, now let's go for another one, which is this fern kit. So these are the fern kits and I'm going to cut these as well. So let's go in here and start to bring 4 cuts in here. And don't worry, I'm going to manipulate these cuts later on. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 sections. So I'm going to add some vertical sections as well to manipulate these. And again, I'm going to put something in here to really cut away from this part because I really do not need this part at all. So having a bit of alpha on this is really unavoidable. We cannot really do something about it. So if we want to try to cut a lot of alpha, we would get a lot of geometry and unnecessary geometry indeed, and we really do not want that. So let me just take whatever I can instead of really going too dramatic about it. So let's again put something alongside here and try to bring this down. And I'm not really being too dramatic on these, just like the grass kit, but something to hold on. Because as I told, it's really inevitable to have something like that. If we want to cut away a lot of alpha, we need to add a lot of geometry, and that way it's going to be another problem. So we only cut away to the piece that we need. Okay, and now from this part as well, I'm going to bring in. Okay, something from here. And let's take this, take all of this and hit P by selection so that we have a piece right here. So I can really take this one and fine tune it a bit. Let's bring this one up and something like this. Okay, I'm happy with this because there's nothing more that we can do about it. If we want to hide a lot of alpha, we are really going too far, and that is not so necessary. So let me take this, bring it in the center and apply a transformation. So bring it here, and we're going for the next as well. Just try to make some alpha changes. So I can take this one and merge them. Okay, and now let's bring the knife tool to cut so that we are faster on the cut creation. So on this one as well, and now I can take this and separate this by selection, and I want to put the pivot on here. So let me see if I can drag this one in here, or I should add a vertical piece in here on this part because we're going to bend this. So let's put the piece on the stem. Okay, and now put the rotation on here. Just rotate it, bring it here, apply transformation, and boom, done. We have two more pieces only. So I feel like cutting will give me a better result. And it's a lot faster than trying to slide the vertices in this case. So let's take all of these and delete them. Unnecessary alpha really. And again from here, let's cut. Okay, until here. And I can take this and slide it. Okay, now take all of these and separate by selection, and I need to add a piece in the center, a vertical line in the center for the stem. Okay, this one is done as well. And now let's give this its own pivot. The triangle count is very good. Bring it here, apply all the transformations, done, and there's only one piece remaining. And I'm going to cut and cut and some more cuts as well. So bring this one in here, and I'm going to again cut and just be a bit more gentle on this. And if you wanted to go with something like the grass kit on this, we would have really had to put a lot of effort, unnecessary effort on this to make it look alright. So this one is looking ugly. Let's go back a couple of steps and I can bring a cut in here. It's really needed. And sometimes really you have to make some choices to make your results better. Okay. Just some more cuts remaining. Okay, and done. And now let's do a vertical piece that goes right for the stem. And I'm going to select this one. No, let's take this instead and slide it in. Yeah, to this one. And put the pivot on here. Rotate. Bring it here, apply. Okay, we have the kit. And now we are ready to do the kit bashing process. And if you remember, the ferns used to have some stems as well in here, which connected all of them together. And this stem really doesn't end in here. You see the stem goes away and it's basically a connecting piece to the ground. So in here we really do not have a stem, and I'm going to do something creative and extract the stem from this part. On every one of it I'm going to go here and let's slide it a bit to the right. You're going to understand what I'm doing in a minute. And I'm going to add another cut that goes right to this part. Okay, and hit select, and I'm going to select this part and shift D and bring it right here, and I'm going to do something. I'm going to bring this one up and bring this one, slide it up as well, and let me delete this one as well. I'm going to bring this one to the top and place it right here, and I'm going to take this one, merge it, take this one, merge it. Okay, we have now created a stem for the fern that we have. And of course I feel like it's too long. Let me take this and bring it to top, deselect, bring it to top, deselect, and just like this manipulate the stem. And I can really take them all and resize them as well and bring him here. And let's take this, and I'm going to use this stem piece on these parts as well. So let's hit shift D and separate by selection. Now we have the stem piece in here as well. So let's bring it here, and I'm going to take this chamfer, merge by distance, okay. And now I'm going to chamfer this by creating bevel, okay. And now take this one, join these two together, and select this one and this one, or I can bring this one up as well, and join these together. Take this and this one as the last. Okay, this one now also has a stem, and now we need to put the pivot on this stem part, and we really do not have geometry in here, so let's select this and put the pivot in the middle of this line instead. So this one also, put it in here, and we need to do this a couple of times more. So let's take the stem, bring it right the way to here and to here, and select these two, separate by selection, and separate by loose parts, so that every one of them is its own piece. And the reason that I'm connecting these two together is that when we try to bend them, it bends together, not bending them one by one. So let's go to no vertices. Let me chamfer this and drag them right here. Okay, and now join these two together, and I'm going to merge this and this, merge this and this, and now these are part of the same thing together. And since this one is going to be so small in the scene, it's not really going to be seen, okay? And put the pivot in here, and this one is the last one. Let's take this chamfer and manipulate the vertices on this connecting part and join these two. And this is another method of really using the geometry to your own advantage. Just you have to think creative and execute the plan. Okay, and now we have 4 pieces. Okay, let us start kit bashing. And the main reference that I'm going for is this one and this one. You see, they come from the ground and they get bended. Okay, let's take these. I'm going to again bring this in here and do a duplicate and do my work on its duplicates, not its original pieces. So I feel like this one is a bit too long. Let's take these and delete them. And for now, bring the pivot onto here. And this pivot placement is really needed for bend modifier when we add it. So again, let's take this one, bring them all in here and try to add the bend modifier. Simple the form and the bend. Okay, I'm not going to bend it in this direction, instead in this direction. Okay, this is once, and take all of these and take this one as the last one, Control and L, and copy modifiers. So I'm not going to bend all of them in the same direction. I'm going to add a bit of directionality to them. So let's select all of them, duplicate, bring in center, and do something like this. Okay, and now I'm going to take them individually and try to bend one of them more, one of them less, and be a bit random on the bend that I'm creating on this. Okay, this one, you see, being so random on this will help a lot. Okay, now I'm going to take all of them, bring them in, and scale that in, bring this up to create another layer of meshes. And I'm going to make it something like this. Again, I'm going to take one of them, bend more, one of them, bend less, and be a bit random on your creations. And this randomness really is the key to make them really look realistic. Okay, this one less, this one more. Okay, something like this. I'm pretty happy with it. And now let's take the first layer. Let's go to solid view so that it's easier to pick up. I'm going to select the first layer once and do another duplicate and bring them up. And you see, although we have a lot of duplicates, but the poly count is really manageable and good to work with. Okay, now do another copy and make them smaller. And on these ones, I'm not really going to add whole lots of bend. I'm going to make them straight. If you see something like this, some of them bend more, and in the center they move towards the sky. So I'm going to make the bend less on these. Okay, and this one as well. And when we mix them together, we really see the beauty of it. Okay, and this one as the last one. Let me take them and rotate them so that they do not intersect so much. Okay, and now let's go here and try to see. Okay, really beautiful, and I'm happy with it. And every time we rotate to somewhere, we're getting a new result. Okay, let's take them all and take something in between. Doesn't matter really because all of them are in the center. And before that, let me take a duplicate from this, bring it over here, just in case something goes wrong, we have something to go back to. And I'm taking all of them and apply the modifier on them. Or instead of selecting one by one and applying modifiers, I can take all of them, go to object and convert to mesh. It selects all of them and converts them to a real mesh without any geometry. So let's take all of them now and take this one in between, join them, and now these are all part of the same mesh that belongs to the fern kit. Okay, this one I'm going to bring it here. Let's look at it. It's very fine for my taste. So I'm going to name it static mesh foliage fern 01. Okay, just copy the name, and later on we will export this all together. So let's take this because I really do not need this one and drag it back. Okay, and now let's take this one, isolate it, and I can take all of them and remove the vertices. Okay, and this one I can bring it to the ground to make it a ground piece. Something like this. Yeah, I'm happy with it. And now let's take all of them and do some random duplications on this, random rotation. So I'm going for, and before let me apply the transformation and modifiers on anything. Apply mesh transformations, save. And now let's go to this one again. And no, not this one. For the location, I'm not going to add anything. And for the scale as well, I'm not going to do anything. Let's make it only 111 so that we get the same piece. And only for the rotation, I'm going to add a bit of rotation in X. And since this one has the pivot on here, it's not going to work so fine. So let's drag this one in here in the center and now apply the transform so that the pivot now is in here. So let's again go for object, transform, and now the rotation should start to look good. No, and not in X. I believe we're going to do it in Z. Okay, some variation in Z. Now let's go back and connect them all together. And the poly count is very good. It's very good for something that we are going to import in Engine. So let me take these two and compare them to each other. Yeah, a bit different. Doing good. Okay, and now let's take this and rename it to Fern02. Okay, this one is for the second one, and I believe I'm going to make another one that suits for tropical weather as well. And the next one is going to be one that covers the ground. This one is really high up when I'm comparing it against the mannequin. This one is mid, and I'm going to create one that covers the ground. So again, I'm going to bring this in, and let's go into edit mode, and pretty much I'm going to delete whatever is in here. I'm going to delete all of the polygons in here and bring the pivot point right in here. Let me separate them. Okay, this one, and this one. So I'm going to bring them all in and apply the transformations. Of course, let's go here, look at it inside view, inside solid view, and right click and shade smooth so that it looks good in geometry. So shade smooth on these as well, and shade smooth on these as well. So let's shade smooth these so that every time we take something from this, it's a smooth. So let's take this one and do a simple deform. and the bend, and I'm going to be so much on this. Perfect 180 degree, and select all of them, and this one as the last, and rotate, start to rotate them. Let me see if I've done something wrong. This is only one. Looks like I've done something wrong. So let's select these, and this one, Control L, and copy the modifiers. Okay, looks like wrongly I've deleted something. Okay, and now let's do the rotation. I'm going to make it something like this, and then take them all. Okay, and now I'm going to take one, bring it up, make it smaller, and make it a bit higher, but of course having a bit of randomness. So this one and this one, and there's only this one remaining. And now let's take these layer 2 ones. I'm going to rotate them because they are completely on their side. So now let's go to material preview. I'm going to take these and bring them down. Okay, this one is too CG. It's looking very CG looking. I'm going to also rotate some of them to make them not so CG looking. Just do a bit of randomization and you're good to go. For example, you can take this one, duplicate this, okay, and now it's starting to look a lot better. And this one is good for ground covers. So take them, and before that convert it to mesh to get all of the modifiers to go, and join them. And I'm going to bring this, no, let's make it just like there. So bring this one, and comparing these three, I'm really happy with them. And up until now we have created 6 foliage pieces. Okay, and now you see this one is pretty up high, this is mid, and this is for ground covers. Really good. And I'm going to take this one. First let's copy the name from this and paste it in here. Okay, and now done. So I can take this course, take this lesson, and call it done. And in the next lesson, we will take care of the banana kit, and of course the most amazing one for my case, the palm. Okay, and see you there.